Hey, good morning, everyone. Pastor Chris here. Welcome to the Poolside Chat. I said I would um, start something special, start talking about something today. And what I want to do is, I haven't done this in a while, but I'm going to do a study basically on the book of Jude. Teeny tiny little book. It's only one chapter, a bunch of verses, but there's so much in there. Did this once before, but I think it's time to do it again. Because Jude, I think it's very relevant for today. It was relevant in his day. And I think it's important to know the background to Jude, because when he wrote this, sometime between the year 60 and 80, this would have been the second generation of Christians that were coming up. Because remember, Jesus died in year 33. Church starts. There was some debate about what Christianity was. Was it another sect of Judaism, or was it a whole different movement, a different religion? And it was neither. It was Judaism, well, not Judaism, that's not right, but it was the Jewish faith completed, the Old Testament law fulfilled. It was Christ, God, being made available through one sacrifice, his life, for all, Jew and Gentile alike, the world. So it was a whole separate movement. The Way, it was called The Way. And it was the way to God. You didn't have to follow the Old Testament law and try to adhere to the rules and keep doing the sacrifices and offerings, because God made the one offering for all: faith, belief, give your life to Jesus. So there was debate, and this first generation of Christians comes up learning the way, this faith, which came out of Judaism. Oh, let me stop there. But these Christians come up, they learn, they're writing, the words are validated through various signs and wonders, and it's faith. And this first generation dies off, and the second generation comes up. And this is when Jude writes. Now Jude, which is interesting, Jude is one of Jesus' brothers, like family, relatives, brother. There's some faiths that do not believe that Mary had any other sons and daughters after Jesus, and God bless you. I am not gonna argue or dispute that fact, but what I am gonna do is go back to Scripture. And let me go. Should have had it. Mark chapter 6. And in Mark chapter 6, this is the Jude that we're talking about. Mark 6 verse 3. It says, where am I? Mark 6 verse 3. Isn't this the carpenter? These are the people in Nazareth. Isn't this the carpenter? Isn't this Mary's son and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? Aren't his sisters here with us? So the people in Nazareth, talking about Jesus and his brothers and sisters, his family. Well, Jude is one of Jesus' brothers. And what's interesting about this is when he starts his letter, most ancient letters of this time started with an introduction, who they were and who they were speaking to. Such as, I'm somebody, the son of somebody. So you would know the family, the household you came of. Jude doesn't do this. James, the other brother of Jesus, he doesn't do this. He doesn't say I'm Jesus' brother. And I really believe there's a reason why, and there's evidence for it. It says here, Jude, verse 1, it says, Jude, a servant of Jesus Christ and a brother of James. James was a leader in the Jerusalem church. James was well known. Jude is saying, I'm James' brother. To those, and that's written to who? To those who have been called, who are loved in God the Father and kept for Jesus Christ. Mercy, peace, and love be yours in abundance. But he doesn't say, hey, I know Jesus because we grew up together. And I was always interested by that, fascinated by that fact. But he doesn't want to use family ties because family ties don't save you. Family ties don't do anything as far as your eternal salvation in life. It's all faith in Jesus Christ. So it's funny that he says, doesn't use Jesus as I'm the brother of Jesus. He says I'm the brother of James. And it goes with what this book, this letter is about, because it's written to Christians. I tend to think it's written to all Christians. They're, whether it's to Jewish Christians, Gentile Christians, it's relevant to all Christians for all time. And that's why I wanted to go over this, because it talks about error that sneaks into the church. Men who are coming to give some false information, false teaching. Gnosticism was a movement that was becoming popular in the first century, really became prevalent in the second century, the 100s. But it was there. It was there in Israel. I was going to say the Levant, in that area. And Gnosticism, they believed that physical was bad, it was evil, created by a lesser God, and the way that you attain the spiritual, the good, was through knowledge, and especially the secret mystical knowledge that was known to a few. Jesus was one. And there are different ways you could reach this mystical knowledge. So it's really about false teaching, about false teachers that enter the church. And I think it is important to go over this again. I'm going to see what you guys think of this, of Jude, because Jude and 2 Peter both address the same topic. There is debate within scholarly circles. Some people think Jude took a lot of information from 2 Peter. There's some, I'm one of them, that believe 2 Peter took some of the same information from Jude and then put it in his letter. Some people think that it both came from a common source that's not published. We would say not extant today. It doesn't matter. It was important enough to discuss in the early church, the second generation of Christians coming up in the 60s to 80s, year 60 to year 80. That it was an issue and needed to be addressed. Beware of these false teachers and what they're teaching, because it's not right. And follow the teachings and the words of Jesus. And that's why I wanted to address this, because I don't hear it talked about, and I think it is the right time to talk about it again. So Jude. It'll be a great trip. And I'm glad I get to do this. So I'll be doing this Saturdays. So guys, be blessed. Have a great weekend. Remember, tomorrow's Sunday. Go to church. And looking forward to talking about Jude and what he has to say. Remember, keep your questions coming. We talk about those Wednesday. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, at FL Compass Church, and now on Instagram at FL Compass Church. We'll see you Wednesday.